All right. So this story goes back quite a few years. I want to think maybe like 2005, maybe 2006. I'm on a post with a fellow officer who's now been promoted to sergeant. And we were working a 7 to 3 tour, and it was quiet. I mean, nothing going on. I mean, very little traffic out. It was nice. It was cool. The weather was great. We were just hanging out. We were enjoying our time together, conversating about what's going on with the job and the families and things like that. And we were both very, into, doing our job. So that means car stops, making arrests, protecting the citizens of the state of New York, just doing our job. And I believe, and I'll keep him anonymous, so we'll just call him Ben. Okay. So Ben says to me, it's just awfully quiet. I wish something, would go on. And I remarked, yeah, it's quiet. The day is gonna drag. Maybe it'll pick up. Maybe something will happen. And no sooner than that, you heard what sounded like a tire popping, or something like that. And we just looked at one another like, what the hell was that? But we paid it no mind. And not even 10 seconds later, this U.S. Postal truck starts, crossing over the intersection, and he's driving towards us, and he's yelling out the window, "Somebody just got shot." And we look at one another, Ben and I, like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Somebody just got shot right up the street there." So we look at one another, and I forgot we were with a third officer who was in his patrol car, and we just call him Steve. So Steve doesn't know what's going on because he's inside the patrol car, and Ben and I were standing outside because we're conversing with one another. And we're like, oh, wait a minute, that's what we heard. So we immediately took off running. We ran. And if anybody's from New York City, you know what a city block is like. We literally ran from 36th Street to 35th Street. And we see an Asian gentleman, regular street clothes, with a gun out. So at that point, we see a guy on the ground. And you ever hear how people say it was like an out-of-body experience? That's what it seemed like for me at that moment. Seeing that gun, seeing that person on the ground, and everything, I kid you not, everything just froze for me. And it literally seemed like I could do like a complete 360 of what was going on. I don't know if my senses were heightened at that moment, but literally traffic was going by on the major road and everything just stopped. I remember I looked at this New York City yellow cab, he's looking at me, I'm looking at Ben, and it was just like, what the heck is going on? So right away, things just unfroze, and we're still moving in time. And a local precinct car comes racing by, kind of cuts us off. I got to unholster. My partner unholsters. Now, to this day, he'll say he saw a shield around the Asian guy's neck. I never saw that. All I saw was the guy on the ground screaming in pain. So I say, what the hell is going on here? Who's the bad guy? I don't know if the bad guy is the Asian guy. I don't know who's who. I don't know what's going on. So at that moment, that precinct car that I said, kind of cut us off, screech, he jumps out and he jumps on the guy that's on the ground. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not the guy on the, with the gun. The guy with the gun is still standing there. So now I'm getting ready, to train my firearm in this guy. But at the last second, I don't know what made me say, all right, maybe this is the good guy. And again, I don't know what's going on. But people all around is screaming, oh, this guy, he just stabbed, a bunch of people. And people are just bleeding. So now I take my focus off the bad guy and I'm looking up the street and I just see a body here, a body there, a lady with a bloody, I remember a white poodle just like holding his dog. And again, I'm saying to myself, what the hell is going on? And again, all of this is going very quick. So I know the story seems a little long, but everything's happening like real time. So now I'm like, all right, what's going on? I see my partner, I see another precinct officer. They're on this one bad guy. So now I go over to the lady that's holding this bloody dog, and I'm like, what happened? And she said, oh, he stabbed my dog. And I'm like, wait a minute, stabbing people, he's cutting people, stabbing dogs. What's going on? So I turn back around, and now I see my partner and this precinct officer. They're fighting with this guy now. So I'm like, whoa, what's going on? So now I got to shift gears. I turn around, I jump on the guy. We eventually have to pepper spray this guy. Even after he's shot, man, he's got a hole in his stomach, and, he's still fighting. Pepper sprayed him. He's still fighting. I tell you, that was probably one of the scariest moments, in my career. But eventually we get this guy handcuffed. And now you got lights and sirens and ambulances, fire trucks. It just seemed like we shut down the whole city at that point. But that's what happened. That's a real story. Turns out that this guy was walking from downtown Manhattan, and he had some type of mental issue. This is what we find out later on, during the legal proceedings of what occurred. And he stopped in a restaurant and asked them, hey, could I just, use the bathroom? They threw him out. They said, no, it's for customers only. And the guy started to leave, and I guess something just triggered inside his head. And he went back inside, went into the kitchen area, grabbed a knife, started cutting up, one of the employees there. And, he walked out. And as he started walking uptown, and again, anybody's from New York, they're familiar, uptown, downtown, crosstown. He's walking uptown now, and anybody that's in his way, he's just, he's sticking them, or, he sliced the guy's ear that was like kind of hanging off. It was a mess, a day that I will never, ever, ever forget. That was probably in my entire career, I'd say that was the first time I've had to draw my weapon. And since then, I think I've only had to draw my weapon maybe 1 or 2 additional times. So listen, it was a tense situation. It was very stressful. And if you've never, ever experienced a out of body experience, it's something that I will never, ever, ever forget. So that's my real story from the street. I don't want to say I hope you enjoyed it, but that just goes to show you how, things can change, in a split second, for all of us out there, not just, me in uniform, but, somebody that's working in a hospital setting. There was a shooting, at my wife's hospital. And thank God she wasn't at work. It was a patient, and I don't know all of the particulars, but even in a hospital setting, you got to be on guard. It's not a great time. And this happened again years ago, but more so now. Just be careful out there, guys. Be aware of your surroundings. Look people in the eye. I know I commented on the Barefoot Vlogger's video when he did his live, and I don't recall what the topic was. But again, you got to look people in their eye, and it kind of makes them feel a little bit uncomfortable, because they feel, oh, this person is going to recognize me, and they're just gonna hey, move along. But pay attention to what's going on, guys. Keep yourself safe. So that's my real story from the street.